So it is July 5th, and this is our only kind of day off during this last push to be ready for the tour. Yesterday we had a 7-hour rehearsal. Tomorrow is our last rehearsal in country, which we'll be at for several hours. Sunday we are presenting a concert at San Carlos Cathedral in Monterrey. And that's it. Next week we depart. Hopefully the video and audio quality is better today than yesterday. I learned the hard way to check for things like making sure that the microphone is plugged in, but that's okay. It gives me a chance to give shout outs to some more of my favorite channels. So in addition to my constant shout out to TheTravelingClatt, one of my favorite videography channels is Potato Jet. Now Potato Jet is a pro, okay? There's a lot of details and information, very thorough studies that he does in his videos, but he teaches a lot of stuff that the average person can use. I'm actually shooting this using a Zhiyun Smooth 4 gimbal, which is why it's a little less shaky. I felt so bad when yesterday's video, it was warbling like jello. And I'm shooting on a Pixel XL phone. Now it's my old Pixel XL. It was the OG model, but the camera is still really good. And it is the last Pixel phone that actually has a headphone jack to plug a microphone into. And the microphone winds up being essential or you can't hear anything. I had to do a lot of playing with it yesterday. Yesterday's practice for me was really brutal because as we polish and sharpen up pieces, we wind up going over particular sections of music. And I've been struggling with that a little bit for a while, but yesterday was really pronounced and I come to realize or remember that, I actually have I wouldn't say a problem, but I learn differently. And I remember this actually now for my school days, which was so long ago, but I have a tendency, and perhaps it's because I'm in computers, but I have a tendency to learn things top to bottom, kind of like code or a program. And I'm not really good at, drilling over a middle part and not understanding how it fits relatively in with the section before to the section after it. And I'm really struggling. And I can really feel my stress level rising a little bit. And yesterday was the first time I'd had a personal conversation with George in a while. It was during dinner, and he asked me, so how's it going? How are you doing? And I got to tell him, that these kinds of things are a struggle for me. And there's quite an intimidation factor because, so many of the singers in the choir are so good and have been together for a while, have a different background in music than I do. And he was listening very interested, and it reminded me about the first time I met him, because that's how I developed such an affinity for him. When I first met him, I didn't know that I would be in his choir. This is not something that I aspired to, but I just remembered just how personable and how kind of intuitive he is. And I remember, having a great deal of respect and fondness for that. And so it was good for me because I got to tell him, myself personally, I'm not doing this for ambition or, for an excuse to take a trip. I'm doing it because I respect and admire him. So I'm glad I got to tell him that I'm very honored to be included in this endeavor. It's funny, it can be, there's some people who might perceive it in a bad way, but I don't really pursue things in these last several years of my life. I mean, I used to. But I found that so many good things come to me. I just got to know when to say yes. It's been a difficult thing to explain, especially to people who I care about, but the things that I've pursued or the objects of my ambition in my life haven't panned out, generally haven't. And, when they didn't, I would just try harder, and hustle a little bit more, try to be a little bit more savvy. The thing is, what I came to discover is, I can be quite selfish. And maybe that's why those things don't work out, because at some point it's all about me. This isn't. And hopefully, the more important moments in my life aren't. That being said, when I'm done running my errands, I'll get home, take a look at the music some more, try to go over it and try to be in good shape for tomorrow. Oh, and one thing that I have learned from my travels I'm gonna try to tidy up my place before I go, because I've discovered that if you come home to a mess, it's an awful, awful feeling. So I'm gonna try to avoid that. This, again, is quite a thing for me. This is the longest I'll have been away from home in my entire adult life. Most of my travel, particularly international travel, actually has been for business or family. So this really is an adventure, one that I didn't really look for, so maybe I can appreciate it more generously with less expectation and just be happy to participate.